In today's khutbah, I would like to last month in a city known as Bandung in the West Java province of that country, an anti-Shia national alliance rally was organized in a mosque by some of the Muslim organizations, a number of them, all coming from the Salafi Wahhabi background, all coming from the Salafi Wahhabi background, all coming from the Salafi Wahhabi background, Salafi Wahhabi background, Salafi Wahhabi background. And based on the reports which have been circulating from Jakarta, Globe, and other sources, one of the speakers representing a group of that alliance, and it's interesting that the name of that group is Anti-Heresy Front. As this is a group which deals with what they call murtad or heresy. And the head of that organization talked there about that in Indonesia must be cleansed of Shia teachings. And in his words, it's time that we declare jihad against them. So we are talking about declaring jihad against the Shias. When you look at the numbers of Shias there, in a country which has 250 million people, the number of Shias is only around 3 million. The number of Shias is only around 3 million. Which makes it, a very small minority. 7% maybe. And so you start wondering what's going on in a country which has so many, such a large proportion of the Sunnis. Why are they afraid of such a small group? And this is where we come to realize that it has nothing to do with Shia theology, Shia beliefs, or Shia practices. Many times we actually start accusing ourselves that this is happening because this is what we do and this is what they say. No, it's not. There's nothing to do with the Shia theology or Shia practice. It has everything to do with politics. Just today in Indonesia, there are elections there taking place for the members of the parliament there. And the anti-Shia National Alliance, which was this gathering, happened in the last 10 days of April. Actually, their purpose was to deal with this issue. And they were urging their followers not to support the kind of a democratic liberal party where, the governor of Jakarta is going to be the hopeful president in this election. And the reason why they are opposing that party is because that party has nominated a top Shia personality, in the West Java area as their candidate. A top Shia personality. That's the problem. It's not that there are, Shia theology is an issue or Shia practice is an issue, because that party has, chosen a Shia personality to stand up as their candidate in that region. This is where they don't like. And this individual who has been selected by this Indonesian Democratic Party of Struggle is Dr. Jalaluddin Rahmat, who previously headed an organization known as Ijabi, which is an umbrella group of the Shia organizations in Indonesia. And one of the Salafi clerics in that gathering actually refers to this issue, where he says that, he's asking his followers to vote against the Democratic Party because if its candidate became the president, then Jalaluddin Hikmat, the Shia, will be made the religious affairs minister. This is what they don't like. While it's just, fear-mongering that they are doing this, in his words, as long as we are not in power, the Salafis, we will never be able to purge the Shias. We need to strengthen our political base. The ruling coalition must be controlled by Islamic parties. And this is where we see, it's more to do with the issue of politics. And in Indonesia, although the Shias are very few in numbers, the persecution has been going on. In the year 2012, a Shia leader was taken to court with the alleged crime of blasphemy. What? Oh, he's teaching his students that Quran is not the original revelation. The same propaganda that they have against the Shias, that the Shias have a different Quran, and the way the process went on in that court, he was basically sentenced to 2 years in prison for blasphemy. And then other clerics in that region created this mob scene where a Sunni mob went into a Shia neighborhood. They burned the houses of the Shias there, where 2 of them were killed, and the rest had to flee that neighborhood. And they are still, till now, they're actually living as refugees in a stadium about 100 kilometers away from their neighborhood. And so this is where we see that the pattern always has been, as long as Shias are docile and quiet, don't speak for their own rights, they are good citizens. And you will see this pattern everywhere. If you look at Lebanon, the history of the modern Lebanon, as before Imam Musa Sadr, the Shias were right at the bottom when it came to sharing the national resources and the budget and even the power structure. But their numbers were increasing. This is where in the 50s, Imam Musa Sadr comes in, brings about this socio-political awakening among the Shias of Lebanon, and that's where they started to speak for their own rights. Even now, they are not really asking for the power in proportion to their numbers. They're still willing to, have peaceful coexistence with the Sunnis and the Christians in Lebanon. But as long as they were docile, nobody talked about them. When they started to talk about their own rights, now they are radicals, they are terrorists, they are fanatics. Look at Iraq. The largest number between, if you look at racial line, Kurds and Arabs, or Shia and Sunni divide, the Shias are the largest group. And when they were controlled by others, they didn't really say anything, they were okay. Nobody talked about them. Then things changed in Iraq. Democratic elections took place, and that's the game of numbers. And a majority Shia-led government came to power. This was not something acceptable by the Arab rulers. So you saw Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, everybody. Using their own resources to destabilize the situation, even now. Bahrain, majority Shia. When they were docile and quiet, whatever happened to them, they were, nobody really cared about them. As soon as they started speaking in a very peaceful manner, they are suppressed. And so when we look at this issue, it's not really that they are radical or heretic or here and there. Even in the situation in Lebanon, it has everything to do with politics. Maybe what we can do as fellow Shias, far away from them, is at least drop down, a short paragraph, very polite, to the Indonesian embassy, just raising this concern about this kind of, hatred which is going on against a minority there. Of course, that was not organized by the government, but the government is basically ultimately responsible for peace and order in that country. And so it should be very politely worded, that, this is a matter of concern as far as, other Muslims in other parts of the world is concerned. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His blessings on the Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen wherever they are, and may He keep them under His protection, inshaAllah.